Hello, I'm Rick Stivers. I'd like to welcome you today to Young Martin's Reels. And the reel we're going to be working on today is a Sportmaster number 78625. And I think it's a fairly inexpensive reel. It was made in Japan, and I'm guessing it was probably made sometime around the late 1960s, maybe early 70s. It's a fairly decent little reel, but it's very tight. The greases in it have really tightened up, and so we're going to take this reel apart today and see what we can do for it. See if we can make it a better reel than what it is today. Okay, we're going to start off by taking off the spool, and there is a drag washer assembly on the top of the spool. So I said it's an inexpensive reel. It consists of one drag washer and one metal drag washer on the top. Okay, so we got that. We're going to leave that in place now and see if we can unwind this handle. There we go. It's got the handle taken off, and we're going to take out this screw in the side plate. Which brings us inside, and let's see what we've got in here to contend with. It appears that we have just a pin. One single pin. Let's clean this up a little. I've never been inside this reel before, so I don't really know what to expect in here. So let's see if we can clean this up a little bit and see what we might have. Wow, this grease is really, really dried up and caked in. Make sure that this is nothing but grease right here. Okay, and that's all we're dealing with. So let's go ahead and see about removing this pin. There we go. Pin slides right out. That should allow us to remove the axle assembly. And it's sticky, but it's coming out. And what's happening is that our crosswind block is wanting to rotate sideways as we pull it out and catch. So we're going to take that off. There's our crosswind block. And it appears to be symmetrical. It looks like it's going to be the same way either way. So there we go. Now we've got our axle shaft out. We're going to remove this nut. I don't think we're going to do it with that one. I didn't think so. There we go. Okay, now I tried to remove it in the counterclockwise direction, and it started to move at first, and then it got tighter and tighter. So a lot of these rotors are going to be counterclockwise to loosen instead, or clockwise. This one is different than the normal thread position, so it's going to be clockwise to take it out. And it doesn't want to come back out of there. So let's give it a little help. There we go. All right, that's got that nut off. And this rotor should slide right off at this point. There we go. Notice that it's got a flat keyed spot on the side for the flat spot here. All right. Now we've got one washer under here. Take that out. And at this point, yes, our pinion shaft is now, pinion gear with shaft is going to come out the side. Okay, but now what's happening is it's hitting our post right here. See this post? That's your crosswind block post. So what we've got to do is we're going to have to rotate that around. And this grease is so old and caked up, it doesn't want to rotate. Okay, there we go. Okay, hopefully now, with that moved over to the side, we can slide this out. And we can. All right. Last part is going to be sliding the main gear out. And we're going to check it to see if we see any shims in here. I don't see any there, and I don't see any there. Okay, now there was a lot of question about this reel when I first started as to who made this reel. Well, that answer has just come to us. If you look carefully right here, you will see it's made by Daiwa. All right, so we have a Daiwa reel. This is your anti-reverse over here. We're going to move it over to this way. When it's down in this position, you have functional anti-reverse. When it's in this position, it turns the anti-reverse off. All right, so I'm going to go off camera for a minute. We're going to scrub these parts up, and basically all I'm going to do is spray these parts down with WD-40 and scrub them and wipe them down, but you don't need to see that on the video. It just uses up a lot of bandwidth. So I'll be back with you in just a moment. All right, we've got our parts clean now. We're ready to start reassembling. And we're going to start off with our main gear, or as it's known on some as a crankshaft. We're going to put our grease first off on the teeth and on the face of this gear. Now I did go ahead and inspect these, and I didn't find any problems here. Where I did find a problem was on the pinion gear, and there was actually a piece of metal. If you look right here at this pinion gear, we're going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit. See if you can see it. Right here. Let's try to zoom in again. There we go. Right here, there is a piece of metal on the edge of this tooth. There was a huge one down inside here. You can see where I filed this down and actually clipped this slightly a couple times, but it had a big chunk. Now this one here that I've left, it's not affecting anything. It doesn't hit anything. So I've decided to leave that one there because I'm not that true a hand with the file, and I don't want to do any more damage up there. So, but I wanted you to see that, give you an idea. It's the first time I've seen it quite like that, but it's not in a place where it's going to harm anything. The one that was down inside definitely was, and it was impacting the gear. So that's our fix for that. Let's zoom back out and start putting this back together. All right. Well, before we do that one, let's go ahead and put this one back where it belongs. Let's go ahead and oil our crankshaft assembly and slide it into the case. Now we're going to disable the anti-reverse for a moment because we don't want it putting pressure against the gear, holding it out where it could keep anything from going where it needs to go. Now we'll come back with this guy and we will oil up the shaft, and we're going to grease the gear. All right, that's greased our pinion gear. And now remember, you've got to have that stud over to the side when you go to put this in, or it's going to catch on it. Let's go ahead and put a little oil inside here, just to make sure that it's not getting scraped off on the way in. And we'll slide this guy back in. There we go. Now that can rotate without having to worry about impacting anything. And at that point, we can turn our anti-reverse back on and see that it works. Okay. With that done, we're ready to install this shim and this washer. These two came off when we pulled this off. And we're going to line up the flat spot on the pinion with the flat spot inside the rotor head. Now line that flat spot up and slide that back on. Once you got that on, put your last washer back on, and it's time for the nut to go back on. Okay, slide that on, tighten it down. Make sure it still rotates okay, and it does. All right, we're going to have to add a little oil here or something. Now, I don't see the spring for this assembly. Ah, the spring is the handle itself. Okay, the tightness of the spring of the handle pushes this down and causes it to flip. Okay, so let's oil that. See if we can get that moving better. Yes. Flip it over, bring it around. Okay, with the speed of rotating the handle, I believe it's going to click back over. Yep. All right. We'll test it out when we put it back together. Okay, we've got that on, that on. Now we need to rotate, spin the head around until our post is at the back. We are going to grease up the crosswind block, slip it back on the post, wow, it's very unstable. Normally, when you set a crosswind block down, it stays solid. This one does not. It wobbles all over. So I'm going to assume that our axle shaft is going to hold that steady once it's installed. All right. We got the crosswind block installed. We're going to take our axle shaft now and lube it up and slide it in. And if you look at your crosswind block here, you'll notice that it's flat on the bottom side. So what we're going to do, we're going to set it in there and we're going to turn the flat of the axle shaft around so that it slides into the crosswind block. Like so. Then we should be ready to reinstall our pin. Like so. And what holds the pin in? Well, that's going to be your side case when you put it back on. So set this back in place. Reinstall your screw. All right, I'm going to screw the handle back on. There we go. Had a little trouble getting it started. There we go. Flip the bail. There we go. Okay. At this point, Oh my. Do I see there? That isn't right. Okay, somebody put something together incorrectly here. They put this washer on here. All right, now when they put this washer on, it's in the wrong location because, or it may not even belong there at all. It's even bent. Matter of fact, I know where that washer goes, and it does not go under there. All right, I'm going to explain to you what's happened here and what we're going to do to fix it. We're going to zoom in just a little bit. All right, if you look, this washer was installed on top right here. So that when they tightened this down, it crushed this metal plate right here. Well, that metal plate, its job we're gonna try to straighten this up a little bit and see if we can get it free flowing again. There we go. Its job is to ride on this cog for the drag. So let's see if we can make that work again now that we've taken that off. There we go. All right, now this metal plate right here, this is a spring washer. It goes right here. On top of that is going to go our drag washer, which should be oiled. And this one doesn't look like it's seen any oil in a long, long time. It's so dry, I'm going to flip it over and oil the other side as well. All right. Now, put that on top of that tension washer and then install this hard flat washer on top of that. Follow the flat. And now you should be able to install. Okay. Once it's tight enough, it should. Yep, there you go. Keep your drag from moving at all, which it does now. And then you can go ahead and loosen it back up because now your drag's working properly. All right, let's zoom back out on this. Sorry about that. There you have the Sportmaster number 78625, which was actually made by Daiwa. The body is at least a Daiwa part. The drag's working fine now. Everything flips like it's supposed to. The anti-reverse, if you bring it around, takes off the anti-reverse. All right. There you have a good functioning reel. This has got what you call a slam bell. It comes around and it hits this post right here, and it flips it over. And the drag's working again. The handle works good. Let's add a little oil to the handle. There we go. Spin it around a few times. For an inexpensive reel, it's not a half bad little reel. I like it, and I'm hoping you like it. And if you like what you saw here today, please hit the like button. If you didn't like it, hey, go ahead, hit the dislike button. I would appreciate it, though, if you'd tell me what you didn't like. I can't fix things if you don't tell me what it is you don't like. For those who would like to subscribe or see more videos like this, please hit the subscribe button. And for now, this is Rick Stivers with YoungMartin'sReels, signing out.